You're gonna pay for your crimes. You are not escaping. This ends tonight.
Riverdale's mid-season finale reveals the identity of the Black Hood, or so they say, but was it satisfying? Let's break down Season 2, Episode 9, right here on What Happened. Okay, y'all, like, what the hell, Riverdale? Like, they have drawn out this Black Hood thing for 9 episodes now, and then they end it in a way that's pretty lame. Like, seriously felt lazy and felt like the reveal of the Black Hood was an afterthought. Yeah, I'm not convinced that they showed us who the real Black Hood was. I feel like it was literally a throwaway person and a mystery that they just decided to reveal in the last episode and a half. So who is this Black Hood I'm complaining about? It's the janitor, Mr. Svensson, aka Joseph Conway, whose family was murdered by the Riverdale Reaper. Well, it turns out that he may have accused the wrong person of murdering his family, and since the town wanted blood for blood, he's trying to make up for his wrongdoing by killing other sinners in the town because he got some innocent man killed by a bunch of people. I'm just not buying it, guys. I feel like you aren't either. I feel like I haven't looked at Twitter yet, but I feel like there's a lot of unhappy fans, right? Because, like, why would they choose now? Why would this guy choose now of all times to start carrying out these acts? He's lived in this town for so long. Shouldn't he have done that right away? It just doesn't seem to make sense. And why would he cut off his own finger? Like, I don't know. Plus, his body type does not fit the body type of the Black Hood we've seen throughout this entire season. And I don't know. I'm just not too happy about this Black Hood rebuild. I'm actually just getting flashbacks to how angry I used to be watching Pretty Little Liars when they would reveal things and then it was like, oh yeah, no, this person is A, and you're like, that person makes no sense. You're gonna turn Charlotte into whatever, and yeah. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm not satisfied. This episode also finally goes back and touches on the shady lodges, which they've given us little hints at throughout the season, and then we kind of forget about it because of the Black Hood drama. But the lodges decide to let Veronica in on what they're really up to, but they don't let us in as an audience, of course. Because, well, we know they need Fred Andrews, and that's going to be probably a big part of the second half of the season, so hopefully we learn what's going on with that family soon. We also get Veronica getting back with Archie at the end of the episode and telling him that she loves him, but I'm kind of calling BS on that one too. Alright, so that's me ranting a little bit about the reveals and how lame they were, but I'll vent a little bit more after I recap the events of this episode. Let's see, Nana Rose is back in town. Yes, she survived the fire. She seems quite okay. Cheryl, she wants a lavish Christmas, but Mama Blossom points out they're poor now. Cheryl pretty much tells her mom to get a job, but you know what? Wait, Cheryl doesn't think Mama Blossom has any skills except being a bad mother. And I gotta say, Mrs. Blossom's pretty good at being a bad mother, so she's dedicated to whatever skill she actually has. One skill, though, it seems like Mama Blossom does have, though, is she can still get it. That's right. Cheryl walks in on her mama kissing Santa Claus, like, literally on the couch. Yeah, I don't know what that was all about, though. It seemed kind of just a throw-in there. Kevin and Josie, they really have nothing to do in this episode except sing a Christmas carol outside of Pop's as Fred tries to sell Christmas trees for extra money. In the romance department, things are pretty weird now between the foursome. They're all like, I'm sorry I did this to you, it's for the best. Oh, we can be friends, whatever. It's still super awkward. And they all still have the presents they got each other before they broke up, so of course those are exchanged. And Betty and Jughead, they have cool presents because they really know each other, whereas Veronica and Archie just give each other jewelry, like a watch and a necklace. Yeah, I don't know. When it comes to Jughead, FP, and all the serpent drama, Jughead spends his time in this episode trying to convince FP to let him help out with the whole thing with Penny and the drugs and, you know, fix the mess that he created pretty much. FP, though, he is very angry in this episode and is set on not letting Jughead do anything to help. Like, he's ready to be Penny's dancing monkey for as long as he has to if it's going to keep the peace. Because really they have no leverage on her according to FP. Jughead, though, he's not taking all this news well. He doesn't want to sit back and wait. He wants change, and he's not taking FP shutting him out so well, so he gathers all the young serpents and tells them that they need to do something about this problem because he doesn't want the serpents to end up like the ghoulies or dead or in jail. Jughead here's becoming the leader of a revolution. He wants to clean up the South Side. We know the serpents have good hearts because, I mean, come on guys, they're giving toys to Toys for Tots and charity. like these serpents really are. They're like the good people, just with some tough skin on the outside. You know, soft on the inside, hard shell on the outside. Jughead just pretty much decides they gotta take out Penny, otherwise she's gonna end up getting her claws on literally every single serpent, which will not be good. Now, Tony, being the good friend she is, she has Jughead's back, and you know, she has a lot of clout when it comes to these young serpents, and eventually all the young serpents agree with Jughead's plan, so they pretty much kidnap Penny and drop her off in Greendale. And Jughead tells her that this is her new home now, or she can go wherever she wants to go to set up her shop and live, except for Riverdale, and especially the South Side. Penny just thinks it's all a joke, it's funny, calls Jughead cocky and stupid, but then we get to see dark Jughead. Like, we've seen dark Archie, we've seen dark Betty, I feel like we've seen a little bit of dark Veronica, and now we're getting some really dark Jughead. Like, yeah, he's not messing around. And when Penny tries to say that serpent law says you can't hurt another serpent or one of your own, and she shows her tattoo to be like, hey, look, I'm a serpent, this is my badge of honor, Jughead decides to get his pound of flesh from her, pulls out a switchblade, and literally, I'm pretty sure, cuts the tattoo right off her arm, and says that the tattoo doesn't make her a serpent. Like, damn, Jughead here. Ooh, he's got some balls, way more balls than Archie, I gotta say. And it kind of makes him hotter, I feel like. Anyways, cutting a tattoo off someone's arm is brutal, but I have a feeling this is not gonna stop Penny. She seems a little loco, and I think she's gonna be back angrier than ever, and probably with some new gang of people. Like, she just seems dangerous. As for the Lodge family drama, Fred spills to Archie that he owes $86,000 for his medical bill, and they have to figure out some way to pay it off, but they're not going to worry about it right now because it's Christmas time. They'll figure it out later. Archie ends up telling Veronica about his problem, and Veronica decides she's going to ask her parents for help since they're throwing away money and spending it on dumb presents. Hiram and Hermione, though, they're like, absolutely not. We're not helping Fred out. Veronica then brings up how Fred is pretty much selling Christmas trees for extra money because that's the kind of father and man he is, and that does not sit too well with Hiram. He doesn't like hearing those words. Later, Veronica decides to go snoop around Hiram's office, and she looks in his desk and ends up finding a folder with the deed to Pops. And yeah, she learns that Hiram bought Pops, and then we see her lean back in her chair like this and kind of sit like this, and it's what usually people do when they launch an evil plan or like start to hatch some kind of plan. And while it might not be evil in Veronica's case, yeah, those wheels are turning, and I just feel her. She didn't do the laugh, but I really wanted her just to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like Dr. Evil kind of thing going on here. Well, Veronica does hatch a plan and grabs Hermione's Black American Express card and calls the hospital posing as Hermione and pays off Fred's bill, but of course she wants it to be anonymous, an angel donation. Hiram and Hermione return home, and they're not too happy because they let Veronica know they got an interesting call from the bank about that charge. Veronica's just like, oh good, that just means it went through. And then she's like, oh, by the way, since you could afford to buy Pops and lie about it, she pretty much figured they could afford to pay off Fred's bill. But well, Hiram, once again, not a happy camper with anything that's going on in this episode. But Veronica points out how they keep saying they want her to be a part of the family business and her name's on the papers, but yet they're still hiding so much from her. If she's going to be in the business, she literally wants to be in the business. So Hermione's like, you know what? You really want to be part of this business? You can't be Daddy's little girl anymore. We're going to have to work together. And it seems like that means if we do dirty things, you're going to have to get yourself dirty. They end up filling in Veronica on what they're doing, but of course we as an audience, they don't let us in because they want to draw this storyline out even longer. But Veronica's one ground rule to working with her parents is that she's not going to do anything illegal. And Hermione's like, oh, we don't do anything illegal either. We just claim plausible deniability. Veronica then says another stipulation is that paying off Fred's bill, yeah, that's going to stick. And when Hiram tries to argue with Hermione, she says to let it go because they need Fred for what comes next. Veronica says they have a deal, but she does kind of make this face at the end here where it doesn't look like she's too happy about what she's done or what she is really getting herself into. She then shows up at Archie's at the end of the episode, and she's hung up mistletoe on the porch, and she says she needs him and his goodness in her life, and then she drops that L-bomb that Archie was trying to get out of her last episode, but she just could not get herself to, go there. Yeah, she says she loves him, and they kiss, and then we see that someone from afar is taking photos of them. Why? Who? Why are there so many creepy people in Riverdale. What is this setting up here? I'll discuss my theories a little bit more at the end of this video. Now to this whole Black Hood fiasco. So the whole thing with the Black Hood and the Santa outfit, yeah, that was just one of Betty's nightmares. At school during Secret Santa, we have Moose and Midge finally return to school, and Archie leaves the room with Betty following him, being like, hey, are you okay? Well, it seems like Archie still feels guilty every time he sees Moose, and all he can think about is the Black Hood, and of course Betty's like, hey, I can't stop thinking about the Black Hood either, because she keeps getting nightmares about it. As they're talking, they notice there's a different janitor in the hallway, and I gotta say, this new janitor looks like 1,000 times creepier than Mr. Svensson, the previous janitor or current janitor, did. Archie and Betty then go to ask the secretary, hey, where's Mr. Svensson? Because, we have Archie who confronted him last episode. Maybe that caused something to happen. They don't know. The secretary reveals that Mr. Svensson called out sick a few days or a week ago and that he sounded awful, and the secretary even tried to take him soup and left it on the porch for him. She says, though, that he always gets this way during the holidays since he has no family. The two now can't seem to leave this whole Mr. Svensson, Mr. Conway, whatever we want to call him, let's just call him Joseph. They can't seem to let this Joseph thing go, so they go check on Joseph, but no one answers the door at his house, and the soup still sitting on the porch there. When Betty returns home, Alice is making cookies in hopes that Polly will magically return home for Christmas, and she tells Betty that there was a secret Santa present for her on the porch, so she put it in her room. Now, since the kids already had their whole secret Santa thing at school, Betty's pretty confused, and you can kind of guess that the present could only be from one person, right? Betty opens that present, and surprise, it's what everybody wants for Christmas, right? Yeah, a severed finger. That just screams holidays. Yeah, no. Weird. Archie comes over, and the note with the finger says it belongs to the sinner Joseph Conway, Mr. Svensson, and it says that there's one final trespass to unearth, and if they find the truth, they need to reveal it to the town, and then perhaps they can save Joseph's life, and that's what the Black Hood is sending for Christmas. Body parts all around, and I don't think he wants to send any more body parts out. Betty then gets a call from the Black Hood, pretty much saying the same thing the note did, but when Archie takes the phone, the Black Hood hangs up. He then remembers that Joseph used to live at Sisters of Quiet Mercy before he was adopted, so they decide to go talk to those sisters, and how convenient it's the same place that Polly was at once. They meet with one of the sisters who's kind of reluctant to really give them all the meaty information they need, so of course Betty just threatens to expose the place for the house of horrors that it is. That convinces Sister enough to talk, and she says that Joseph may have accused the wrong man of killing his family, and that group of men that went and killed for Joseph, they probably killed the wrong person, an innocent man. Sister also says that the group who killed the man did come to visit Joseph once, and it was a group of men and one woman, and that woman had white hair with a red cherry stripe, and of course Betty quickly identifies that person as the one and only Nana Rose. Archie and Betty then pay a visit to good old Nana Rose, who's quite the character. Like, I love her and I hate her, but I actually seriously just love her because she's so strange. Because, in this episode, she tells Mrs. Blossom that she should have drowned the twins at birth like a basket of kittens. Harsh, Nana, harsh. Who actually says that? I don't know, but actually it's not shocking coming from Nana Rose's mouth for some reason. Anyway, Nana, who still thinks Betty is Polly, says that no girls were allowed to, go carry out that deed with the men, so she had to stay at home as they went and killed the bad man. Nana also reveals that the men buried that man alive under the Devil's Hand or a tree in Pickens Park, and when Betty tries to inquire more about who these men were or who the man they killed was, Nana Rose just says that maybe she should ask Betty's grandfather because he was one of the men, and there's a picture that literally is evidence of them standing in front of that tree, the same picture that we saw Joseph looking at in his office. Betty also seems to kind of remember this picture as it's described because when her grandpa died, they kept a box of his pictures, and she thinks, there's a connection there. And that's maybe why the Black Hood picked her, because of her grandfather. Betty and Archie then head to the house, but of course before they do that, they do share a kiss in the car. They end up finding the picture that Nana Rose described, and it was taken in Pickens Park, so they call Sheriff Keller, give him a heads up, and they head to the park. Under that tree is a mound of dirt with shovels and a makeshift tombstone that says, here lies Joseph Conway, sinner. So they start digging, and they find a makeshift coffin, a box, but nothing is in it. All of a sudden, the Black Hood pops up behind them with a gun pointed to their heads. Now, the Black Hood demands that Archie gets in that box and Betty bury him alive. So, what are you going to do when there's a gun to your head? you kind of carry out what the dude says, right? So Betty's throwing dirt on the coffin as Archie's laying in there, and Betty's rambling to the Black Hood about Joseph and, you know, the mistake and whatever, and then they hear sirens, which distracts the Black Hood long enough that Betty is able to take her shovel and hit him over the head. She then digs Archie out as the Black Hood runs off, and of course, he's dropped his gun because that's just, you know, a convenient thing to do in a chase like this. So Archie picks it up, and they chase that Black Hood to the bridge. Now, the Black Hood looks like he's about to jump over the side as Archie points the gun at him, threatens to shoot him, and as the Black Hood starts to jump, we hear a gunshot. But you know what? It's not Archie who pulled the trigger because, let's face it, Archie's just all talk and he doesn't have the balls to shoot anybody. Sheriff Keller is the one who actually showed up just in time conveniently to shoot the Black Hood. Now when Keller checks on the Black Hood, turns out he's dead, and they pull off the hood and it is Joseph, and we see that he is missing a finger. At Pops, Archie tells Veronica she was right to suspect Svensson. He's sorry he didn't believe her. He just couldn't get past the eyes, and, you know, they could have prevented more of this stuff happening. Even though, you know, the Black Hood, by the time they found out Svensson was probably the Black Hood, he hadn't killed anybody else. All he really has done at this point was chop his finger off. So they didn't really prevent anything if they had stopped Svensson then. Anyway, they discuss everything that's going on and how it kind of makes sense that Svensson would be the Black Hood because he just always seemed to be around. Yet we've only seen him in the last 3 episodes, so how is he always around? The episode ends with Betty taking her box of Black Hood articles and the letters and whatever from under her bed and burning them in the fireplace. Now when she takes the Black Hood out that he gave her at the Conway house, she ends up putting it on the fire but then pulling it back out. And as we hear Jughead narrating, there's kind of this talk about, you know, a truth that whispers to her that this isn't over. Dun dun dun. Okay, so yeah, I don't think that this is over. I do think that there is more. Like, this whole janitor situation, it's gotta be fleshed out a little more, because otherwise it was a really lame reveal. And seriously, Joseph, he's short and chubby, like shorter than Archie as we saw in the last episode, but the Black Hood we've seen since the very, you know, season 1 finale and throughout, very tall and lean. Yeah, I don't know, but I feel like Joseph would not also be smart enough to go get some green contacts, and they made such a huge deal out of the green eyes. Like, Archie even said in the episode, I didn't see it in Svensson's eyes, how could it have been him, I'm sorry. I don't know, it just doesn't add up, and, you know, Betty whacked the Black Hood pretty hard there with that shovel that I doubt he would have been able to get up fast enough and run away. Like, he would have, I feel like, sat on that ground and stumbled and been dazed a little bit. And I'm sorry, Archie, but if that was me, my first instinct would have probably been to grab that gun I saw on the ground and rip the Black Hood off of the dude. Because Archie, he wasn't fully buried. It seemed like there was holes in the slat of that wood coffin. He could have breathed for another few minutes while I revealed the Black Hood and took him out. Like, Betty, I feel like Betty would have shot the Black Hood. Archie, yeah, he wasn't doing anything. He was kind of useless, actually. As far as Penny goes, I feel like she's definitely going to be back, and that was just way too easy of a way to get rid of her. Like, she seems like she's got her claws deep in everything, that you can't just kidnap her, cut a tattoo off, and say, don't come back. Like, she's going to come back with the vengeance, I feel like. And we still need to uncover what that favor was that FP didn't do for her, that she says is the debt that he owes. And we also still have all these theories that she might be related to Alice, and I'm kind of believing that a little, because we don't know much about Alice's family or backstory, just that she grew up in the South Side and she was a serpent. So she must have family somewhere, and I feel like they would still be there, right? As far as the Shady Lodges, I feel like Veronica's definitely now playing Archie for some reason, as part of her, you know, maybe also playing her parents. She's kind of maybe playing everybody. I don't know. It just doesn't seem right or real, I should say, the way that she all of a sudden had a change of heart for Archie like that. Like, you can't be like, I can never say the words, I love you, and then all of a sudden be like, you're good, I need you in my life, I love you. It just sounded like BS. Sounded like part of a plan, like acting, like she's putting on a show. So I kind of think that she may have done all that and set up the pictures that we saw being taken, because we know that Hermione said they need Fred for whatever comes next. So maybe they're gathering some kind of leverage or collateral for something. Veronica's just kind of a pawn being used to get that. I don't know. But if it's not Veronica setting up those pictures and taking the pictures, maybe it's the real Black Hood who knows that Archie and Betty kissed, and now he wants the evidence of Archie kissing Veronica to cause trouble there and create this love triangle, maybe draw Betty to his side and bring out more of the dark Betty, because like I said, at the end of the episode, it seemed like there was some darkness to Betty there. Now, I googled it and I couldn't find too many interviews with Roberto, the executive producer and showrunner, because normally after these big episodes, he talks to a bunch of outlets. The only one I could find was an interview with CBR.com, where he said that they didn't know who the Black Hood was going to be when they originally conceived this idea, which they figured out kind of like partway through the season. It was like, oh yeah, we better introduce this guy now, which pretty much confirms how lazy it was, because they had somebody playing the Black Hood throughout and then decided later, let's make it, you know, the janitor, Joseph, which explains why the body type and eyes don't match, which is just stupid to me. Like, why make a big deal out of the guy's green eyes? I'm still not convinced that the janitor was smart enough to get contacts. I don't know. I'm still not convinced that why would he wait this long to start getting the town's blood for blood if he's lived in this town his whole damn life. I don't understand. Pretty much felt like a cop-out, and like I said at the beginning, gives me flashbacks to all the times I got angry at Pretty Little Liars for their lazy reveals that were pretty much just afterthought. It's just not consistent. I don't understand. I'm frustrated. It was a lazy reveal, and I'm hoping that the second half of the season kind of redeems itself, because this whole Black Hood thing, kind of a letdown. So let's watch the teasers for what's in store for the second half of the season.
Effective immediately. Southside High School is shut down.
Welcome to your new school.
Take off that jacket right now, you're suspended.
You traitors picked the wrong side.
I want to see him, Betty. I want to see my son.
Okay, Riverdale returns January 17th, and this trailer isn't super dramatic and kind of gives us hints at multiple things that are going to be happening throughout the second half of the season. It doesn't seem like it's for one particular episode, but it looks like we have the Southside students coming over to Riverdale, and they're going to have to merge for a bit at the same school. Now, Alice and Betty seems like they have a bonding moment in this trailer, and Alice wants to meet her son, so that's where we get our introduction to Chick, played by Hart Denton, and I really don't think Chick has anything to do with this whole Black Hood drama. Now, Hiram and Archie we see working out together, so the Lodge family must need to keep the Andrews family close for some reason. Like, what kind of deals are they working on? We also have Reggie telling Veronica, you traitors picked the wrong side, so I'm curious to see what this means. Is you traitors, does that pertain to the friend group, or does this pertain to Veronica or Veronica and her family? Time will tell. Alright, y'all, it is time now to sound off with your thoughts on this episode. I have a feeling the comment section is going to be real fun to read this week. Let me know what you thought about that Black Hood reveal. Do you think Joseph's really the Black Hood, or is it someone else? Who is taking those pictures of Veronica and Archie? What's going to happen with that whole love triangle now that we have Archie kissing Veronica and Archie kissing Betty? Will Penny come back and seek revenge? Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you think. And thanks so much for hanging out with me during this first half of the season of Riverdale for Season 2. I'm still going to be making videos about all kinds of different things, but as far as Riverdale recaps go, I shall see you in the new year. So don't forget to subscribe so you know when the show is back and the next recap's up. Until then, happy holidays, everyone. I'm Lisa. See you soon.